Well, Natasha, Judge Thokozile Masipa says the court cannot ignore that an allegation has been made that Oscar Pistorius is suffering from an anxiety disorder, that has to be taken into account, and that a panel of experts needs to observe Oscar Pistorius for us to determine the true state of mind, the athlete's true state of mind before these court proceedings can take place. Also, that the judge says in order for Oscar Pistorius to receive a fair trial, that is what needs to be done, and that is quite critical in the sense that Oscar Pistorius, yes, has admitted to shooting and killing Reeva Steenkamp, but following that testimony, now Oscar Pistorius' state of mind is being questioned about what was actually going through his mind on that morning when he shot and killed Reeva Steenkamp. But to chat a bit more to me about that, but before I do that, Arnold Pistorius, Oscar's uncle, did give a very brief media briefing out here. We were not allowed to ask any questions, but he did read from a statement and said that he commended Judge Masipa on her ruling. They were satisfied with it, and that they believe that it is in the interest of justice and it is fair that this ruling has been given. They do have faith in the justice system. But to chat a bit more about these implications now, I'll chat to Advocate Pete Pistorius, who is our criminal law expert. Advocate Pistorius, who has no relation, of course, to the Pistoriuses. Thank you so much for joining us. I think, are you surprised at all by this ruling by Judge Masipa?
No, as you said, the judge must ensure that Mr. Pistorius has a fair trial, and obviously when the reasonable possibility arose, given the testimony of Dr. Vorster, I would believe that that was the just decision to be rather on the safe side than when it can maybe arise at a later stage, possibly on appeal, and then it has not been properly canvassed by the court. So it's a perfectly good reasoned judgment.
What are the implications of this then?
Well, as the court directed, then he will be observed and assessed for 30 days, not longer than 30 days, and then the panel of experts will give feedback in the form of a report to the court, and then it will be established whether indeed he suffers from a diminished capacity, which might have a bearing on the case, particularly with regard to sentence, or, as you correctly pointed out in your introduction, it is all about, in this case, about his state of mind, which is a factual question to be decided upon, and it might be of a very important and relevant aspect, whether he is indeed of a state of mind when he acted accordingly to that.
I know you touched on this in your first answer, but I want to talk about whether you think Judge Masipa is playing safe by giving this ruling, and that it might come up in an appeal, and the Supreme Court of Appeal might question why she didn't deal with this particular aspect if it does arise there.
Exactly so. Advocate Garinel emphasised in his argument that, and indeed referred to case law where the matter, when a person has been convicted, and only on appeal did the Court of Appeal raise the issue whether the court should not have been more pertinent to the issues of reasonableness in this instance and his mental capacity. And I think quite correctly, rather be safe than sorry at the later stage.
And just one final question before we wrap as well. With regard to him being an outpatient, do you find that rather strange?
Well, it's certainly not common practice. Most of the times all the patients accused being sent for observation remain in hospital for 30 days, but it's certainly uncommon in the circumstances, yes.
All right, thank you very much for your time, Advocate Pete Pistorius there, giving us a bit of details about what the implications are of this ruling that Oscar Pistorius will undergo psychiatric evaluation for 30 days, but the conditions of how that will all unfold will be known in court on Tuesday.
Thank you very much. Griselda Lewis, live from the High Court in Pretoria.